A candle lit for each of your failures. An expensive and stupid fad. A cash grab with nothing new to add. Once again too impatient to capitalize. Re-release a 4-year-old game, but still at full price. Movie tie-in to quench your thirst. Play the second movie to unlock the first. No one on Earth bothered to play it.
Jared! Oh, come on! I was halfway through a stanza. New Lego Batman! New Lego Batman? New Lego Batman! The combat looks so fleshed out. Look how good the graphics are. It's all the scenes from the movies. Giant open world, upgrade system, stolen mechanics from other games. Wait, this feels familiar. Why does I only have the digital copy? Simple, fast, portable, like the Blue Sky Fox DVD and digital copy ads. Hiya, pal. Lego games mean a lot to me. I tried to turn Phoebe into one, but TT Games had something against a female lead character or something. Why would we recreate the process of obtaining an environmental engineering degree in Lego? Lego culverts! I really don't know if the original Lego Star Wars was my first video game, but it might as well have been. It shaped me into the person that I am today, which is a guy who was still playing the original Lego Star Wars. It was the bomb diggity. Something I loved so much that when I was 3 years old, I tried to take the disc for Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, out of its case, and I snapped it in half. My older brother Dylan has still not forgiven me. I've always been invested in Lego games. Each release over the years would scratch this itch I had and give me more and more reason to live. I don't have herpes, I just know that you do. Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Batman, Lego Lord of the Rings, Lego City Undercover, just banger after banger after banger after... I used to always be dialed into what the next Lego game would be, and I still am, but once I got my hands on Lego Marvel Avengers, I started to realize that these games are becoming less about transforming beloved characters and stories into Lego, and more about maximizing the profit that they could get from a Lego recreation of a franchise. Trust me, I understand supply and demand. I got a minor in general business after all. I can recognize the difference between a Lego game that exists because it's a good concept and one that exists for the cash money. For example, Lego Marvel Superheroes has a completely original story with all original voice acting, an original giant open world that feels integral to playing the game, and so many original abilities between the unlockable characters. Compare that to Lego Avengers. It's the Avengers movies, but in Lego. Same plot, dialogue ripped right out of the movie.
I'd like to know why S.H.I.E.L.D. is using the Tesseract to build weapons of mass destruction.
And the abilities don't really change that much, except for a few characters. I shit you not, 95% of the reason that I begged for this game for my 14th birthday was because Fing Fang Foom can get super big, and you can make characters with super speed exponentially faster by toggling between them. The problem is not just that they turned the movies into a Lego game. TT Games did the same thing with Lego Lord of the Rings, but that was so different because it was a much more immersive experience. You can explore all of the locations in Middle-earth just by traveling on foot. The level design is really fun, and characters have unique purposes. And yeah, all the dialogue is ripped from the movies, but it doesn't feel lazy like it does in Avengers. That game really changed my perspective on how TT Games was pumping these out. And I had already played Lego Jurassic World, which is a thing that exists. But at least it was original.
There's no trace of lilac berries.
Watching and consuming the past decade's Lego games, it was just one disappointment after another with the occasional good Lego game experience. It made me sad. It made me say things like, "Aw, man." Then, it was E3 2019. I saw with my very own eyes the reaction of a YouTuber watching the live reaction of the audience who saw the teaser for Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. The first Lego Star Wars game in 4 years. And I was floored. Look at those graphics, so shiny and new. Every single Star Wars movie rolled into one giant Lego video game experience? It's gonna be the definitive Star Wars video game. And then it got delayed 3 times. Most of the articles that came out before the release of Skywalker Saga were about the developers. Every single employee was forced to work overtime. COVID messed up production, and people were either leaving the project or the company entirely. People were legitimately being harassed by their bosses for wanting to go home at the end of their shift. One anonymous employee said that the crunch time was built into the schedule for making the game. It wasn't that they had to do a crunch time later on because they needed to catch up. That was literally the schedule for the game. So I wasn't really upset with the developers, but whoever was in charge of them that was making them do all this shit. This game is such a giant undertaking, and you're gonna make it with an understaffed and overworked group. Anyway, back to what I was up to. During this waiting period, I succumbed to the dark side of video game hype. I watched way too many trailer analyses and gameplay breakdowns. So many channels would just speculate on things they want in the game, and they did this so consistently that I began to feel like they had to be in the game in order for me to be happy with it. It was a lot of promises to uphold, both by what TT Games was advertising and the community that was anticipating the game. So, when I ended up pre-ordering LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, the deluxe edition from GameStop, which failed to communicate with me whether or not I had successfully ordered it, so I ended up buying a digital copy of the deluxe edition on the release date, only to get the physical copy like a week later. I waited for the game to download, and when it was finally time, I booted up the game, and it was probably the most disappointing moment of my life. I had a whole script about the Skywalker Saga written and recorded in 2022 that I never fully edited because momentum for the game's popularity came and went so quickly. It just didn't seem relevant anymore, and I also didn't care anymore because it was such a mediocre disappointment, and I thought TT Games was dead. The Skywalker Saga sold 3.2 million copies in its first 2 weeks, but it was at the cost of almost all of TT Games' staff. The LEGO games that came out after Skywalker Saga signaled, to me, that LEGO games would never be what they were ever again. Bricktales, 2K Drive, Fortnite, and Horizon Adventures. They were all definitely LEGO video games, but they weren't LEGO games in the way that they had always been before Skywalker Saga. I didn't play any of those newer games for longer than 10 minutes because they were so antithetical to what LEGO games are to me. Not because they were innovating the gameplay or experimenting with different game types, but because I felt like I was just playing a regular non-LEGO game, but with a LEGO filter slapped onto it. My older brother Dylan sent me the trailer for LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, and I was hooked once again. I love LEGO Batman! One of my favorite and most influential games of all time is LEGO Batman 2. The LEGO Batman movie is the best LEGO and best Batman movie.
My name's Richard Grayson, but all the kids at the orphanage call me Dick.
Well, children can be cruel.
Yeah.
Everything about LEGO Batman just works. Seeing the trailer, I thought that Batman could very well be the thing to send what I love about LEGO games back into the light. But everything I thought looked super cool felt exactly like what I saw in the Skywalker Saga trailers. I have a lot of high hopes for Legacy of the Dark Knight, but because of how TT Games has been treating their main releases since 2019, I think that it is finally time for me to come forth and rant my ass off about LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and frame it as a discussion of how the new LEGO Batman needs to learn from it in order to not replicate its failures. Welcome to Space Couch! Here's a reenactment of my first impressions playing LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. This is so awesome! Something about this game is just so unengaging. If I could wrap up all my complaints about it into one sentence, it would be, I played the game, but I wasn't playing. There was so much put into the Skywalker Saga to make it an exciting and dynamic experience for the player, but most of those things end up feeling purely aesthetic. There's no meat to them. All they are things that tell you that the game you are playing is a good, well-developed, and fun game, but not things that actually make it that. Because of that, I didn't even finish playing through the Skywalker Saga until almost a year later. And after barely starting to collect all the collectibles and beat all the side missions, I took another break until this year when I came back and 100%ed the game to have a comfortable opinion on it. The best video games throw you into the world and give you an incentive to continue playing them. Progress through the story, overcome obstacles and challenges, increase your character's strength and skills, gather collectibles. While the Skywalker Saga has all those things, they do it in such specific ways that end up severely limiting the player's drive to keep playing. Progressing through the story. Because the Skywalker Saga contains all 9 main Star Wars films, it gives you the option to start with any trilogy you want. This is nice, but I don't understand why a person would want to start with the sequel trilogy unless I guess they couldn't wait to riding Orback on a Star Destroyer. Actually, that's the best part of that movie besides the end credits. The Skywalker Saga could have benefited from a more concrete starting point, even if it meant people who watched Star Wars starting with A New Hope had to play through The Phantom Menace first. The complete saga made you play through the first level of Episode 1 before you unlocked all the other films to play through. And because of that, that mission is so iconic and nostalgia-inducing. And the level design isn't even, interesting at all. You go down a hallway and open doors before having to run past some droids, jump over a door, and run into the big old droid tank thingy. There are way better levels in the complete saga, but everyone knows this one because they weren't given a chance in picking it as their first LEGO Star Wars experience. And in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens, the first mission wasn't even from The Force Awakens, it was a recap of Episode 6. Why? So the player gets engaged right off the bat and wants more of it. And yes, in that specific example, they would stop playing once they realized the game turns a 140-minute film into a 9.5-hour-long game, but that first mission is the only thing that people talk about from that game besides how boring the rest is. Without a singular starting point, all the main story missions in the Skywalker Saga are extremely dull and lifeless. It's good to have all the trilogies available to play from the get-go, but it'd be even better if the game had any flow of progression whatsoever. And I think a solid starting mission would help with that. A well-designed, engaging level that is designed as a starting point to orient the players and push them forward through the story, rather than there being, no sense of time except when playing through the movies linearly, if you choose to do so. And even then, it's a minimal amount. How are you supposed to feel engrossed in the Star Wars universe if after defeating the first Death Star, you go back to decades prior to see what Jar Jar was up to? It works as a game, but it disintegrates a lot of the weight that the story could have had otherwise. The story of Star Wars doesn't unfold in front of you, the game just gives you all of Star Wars at once, leaving all the missions feeling like little memories you have access to, rather than consistently setting it in the present tense for the player, and then being able to replay those levels later after their initial completion. And I know that sounds like a far too in-depth criticism of a LEGO game, but the developers worked themselves into this corner by designing the missions the way that they did. What you're actually doing in the story. Oh my god, these missions are horrible. I don't feel like I'm playing a LEGO game, and often I don't feel like I'm part of anything at all. It's like I'm watching the movie in LEGO form. I mean that literally, with the long-ass cutscenes that take up way too much of the mission time, also with each mission covering little more or little less than the movie scenes that they're based off of. Remember how I said that the missions in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens were way too stretched out to make a whole game out of one movie? Well, the Skywalker Saga has the exact opposite issue. All 9 main Star Wars films total about 20 hours and 40 minutes, and the average time it takes to play through the Skywalker Saga is an hour and a half less than that. And almost 3 hours of that gameplay are cutscenes that are literal exact replicas of the scenes from the movies. Now, I'm not saying that they need to show everything that happens in the movies in the game. Far from that. What these missions needed was what LEGO games based off of movies have done every other time. Find the film's main scenes and make them into solid levels with things to do and achieve, while also getting the main points of the story across. LEGO Lord of the Rings does a fantastic job at that. Take, for example, its second mission, the Black Rider. It has you play as all 4 hobbits with the goal of sneaking past the Black Rider to escape its gaze. This is an entire mission. This scene covers about 3% of the Fellowship of the Ring film, but the LEGO mission establishes key things like the 4 hobbits, the fear of the Nazgul hunting Frodo down, and the ring's power to get him to wear it. And meanwhile, it's a decently sized mission. In the Skywalker Saga, you spend 2.5 minutes shooting a big fish from a completely useless scene. And then that's it. That's the mission. In the Jabba's Palace level in the complete saga, you start at the palace gates and work through a sequence of rooms filled with enemies and puzzles until you free Han Solo from the Carbonite. Then you get a boss fight where you fight the Rancor. In the Skywalker Saga, you make your way down a big empty room with 3 optional things to interact with before saving Han Solo, and then you fight the Rancor for 2 minutes. You literally had me play as Leia in disguise and walk through Jabba's palace without issue. That's just what happens in the movie. It's like the developers thought that having control of the character's movements while being in the environment from the movie and doing the things that happen in that scene are in itself playing. What? This doesn't have replayability. It hardly has playability at all. I didn't do anything besides watch a cutscene, walk from point A to point B, and watch another cutscene. And it's not just that mission. There are so many important Star Wars moments that are turned into these insanely short and stupid follow-the-checkpoint marker experiences. The mission is just reaching a checkpoint by going through rooms that might as well be empty and having a maximum of 3 necessary interactions. The interactions being, do the thing with the character to trigger the thing, fight a boss for a minute or 2 until it dies, and
reach the checkpoint. And my least favorite thing about these missions? Everything in between them. I don't really understand what was going on in the developers' heads when they decided to commit to the idea of placing important Star Wars moments in between missions and set in the open world. As a concept, I can kind of get it, but these just feel so lazy. In Attack of the Clones, the first mission is Anakin and Obi-Wan flying around Coruscant to fight the bounty hunter who tried to kill Padme. The second mission is Obi-Wan tracking down and fighting Jango Fett in an asteroid field. But in between, you play as Obi-Wan in the open world where you visit Dex to find the origin of a dart that the bounty hunter used, go to the Jedi Temple and check the archives to find Kamino, fly to Kamino, get a tour of their cloning facility, find Jango Fett, and then fight Jango Fett on Kamino before chasing him into space to trigger the actual mission. That's so much stuff going on, and none of it is in a mission. I understand that they're trying to utilize the open world and provide a more hands-on experience throughout the plot rather than just plopping you into all the locations within the mission. But Jesus Christ, you lose so much here. First off, you can't play any of it ever again. All those scenes in that Jango Fett boss fight are unreachable after you play them the first time. And second, why are you throwing all these into the open world and between missions when the missions barely involve anything themselves? Put this content into the mission so they're longer than 3 minutes and have more stuff going on in them. And third, having these in the open world feels like nothing. I feel nothing. It's just more, go over here, trigger the cutscene, go over here, fight the guy. And it takes so long to get these moments. Why am I actively doing Obi-Wan's chores right now? I hate to keep bringing it back to the complete saga, but that game was 15 years before this one. Its pacing and gameplay fucking worked. So why can't you do it now? There, you get all the context you need for Kamino in a zero dialogue cutscene and play through a sequence of puzzle rooms before finding and chasing Jango Fett and having the boss fight. It's fun, it's playing, but this is something else. The only explanation I can make up for this is that they spent so much of their time including all these characters and scenes and locations in an open world with every Star Wars planet available to explore that the missions were basically an afterthought. They didn't think that the missions needed anything else besides exactly what happens in the movies because of how much they included in the open world. Pisses me off. And they can't even do what's in the movies justice. Why the hell are there so few things to fight? It's literally Star Wars. And this game is Star Bar Fight at best. That being a literal bar fight. You'd think that TT Games would want to capitalize on how awesome the prospects of a fully realized and playable LEGO Order 66 would be, but during this part of the game, you fight maybe 15 clone troopers. Another non-replayable event between missions. Not that I would want to be that disappointed again. The iconic swarms of enemies from the Patronaki Arena scene in Attack of the Clones is transformed into yet another gigantic empty location with only like 3 to 10 droids present at a time. LEGO Star Wars 3 did a much better job of making this scene into a level in 2011. So much chaos going on, droid parts flying everywhere, all 3 arena beasts present at once. I know that they could put all of the necessary assets into the game to make these moments as full of violence as they should be. In The Phantom Menace, you play as the Gungan army, and holy shit, that's a lot of droids on screen!
And I think that we should,
Don't you hate it when your girlfriend stops you from filming and she gives you a kiss? Not cool. And yes, this section does feel like a brainless minigame, but it puts the war into Star Wars where the rest of the game doesn't. As if that scene was the only one worth putting hundreds of troops into. Not Order 66, not Geonosis, not Hoth, not Endor, not Kashyyyk, not even fucking Crate. The space battles are much better. The controls are basically what we had in the Battlefront games. You can destroy giant ships and take over capital ships you defeated. And yes, it does get monotonous when the only thing you can do really is shoot the things that the game tells you to. But at least it feels as close to the scale of the movie space battles as a LEGO game could get. I am pissed about one thing though. There is an entire mission dedicated to Episode 1 Anakin destroying a Trade Federation ship. Meanwhile, the opening space scene in Episode 3 is brushed off in a cutscene. Literally the best LEGO Star Wars mission is in the first LEGO game. They made this scene awesome and fun with the right amount of challenge. And I'm not saying they should have just remade the original mission, but what they should have done is, I don't know, fucking something, rather than chickening out and having the first mission be fight a few enemies as you walk down an empty hall and then fight a boss. Yeah, I expect it to be better than the complete saga because it's been 15 years. And it's just not anywhere near as creative or well designed. I can't believe how wildly TT Games missed the mark on these missions. The missions are the things that make up the 9 movies in one game experience, the entire selling point of this game and its existence. They're just empty in so many ways, and because of it, it's so hard to feel like you're doing anything when playing through them. The skill tree. There are 10 character classes: Jedi, Hero, Scoundrel, Bounty Hunter, Villain, Dark Side, Astromech Droid, Protocol Droid, and extras. Each of them, except for the dumbasses and the extras, have their own skill tree where you can strengthen what they already do as their character type or give them new abilities and effects. Some of these are pretty fun. One skill makes it so that when playing as a dark side character, all the non-dark side NPCs run away from you in terror. Scoundrels can ricochet bullets, heroes can wear disguises, and bounty hunters can have burst fire for their weapons. And if you decide that you don't like the effects of the skill that you purchased, you can always toggle it off, which reduces the risk of these skill trees being a burden. Other skills are more basic, like making it so that you can skip past class-oriented puzzles or getting a higher stud bonus for completing them. Increase the time of Jedi mind tricks, climb walls faster, give R2 and C-3PO something to do. And I can't really be mad at them for being there, but I also can't bring myself to say that I give a shit about them. Especially since some of them are literally just ways to do less in the game when it already feels empty. There are also basic skills that apply to every character class, like getting more health, doing more damage, and running faster. And these? Yeah, I don't like these. At first I thought that having them would give you gameplay things to look forward to or a feeling of getting stronger, but they ended up detracting a lot more than they added to the game. I remember when I first started playing the Skywalker Saga, I was thrown off by the health bar and how quickly it regenerated. There was no point in getting hurt. And then I went to the settings and changed it to where I could only get health when an enemy drops a heart. But the chance of an enemy dropping a heart is so low, and the space between all the enemies is so large, that I just went back to the regenerating health bar. From the very beginning of the game, it was already enough of a handicap. And on top of that, the skill tree makes you double your health bar in order to access other skills. After getting all the skills, you have 4 times as much health as you started with, plus upgrades that speed up your health recovery by 30%. It's a ridiculous amount of health. It causes the entire game to feel a little stupid in how easy it is to take on anything. Boss fights don't require any thought because you never have to worry about dying from them. So you end up just whacking the bad guy until you win. Let's use an example. Ample. Imagine if in Cuphead you had 10 health points, and those health points could come back if you got hurt. Meanwhile, your special attacks are regenerating twice as fast, and your dash goes 3 times as far, and your attacks do 30% more damage. And this is all only because you played the game long enough. It would still be ridiculous there, but it would make so much more sense because Cuphead is designed to challenge the player. Getting upgrades like that would be rewards for being good at the game, not just for fumbling through the game for however long. As for the Skywalker Saga, it's fucking Lego Star Wars. Its entire existence is based on its wide accessibility. Nothing in the game is really difficult to do. It's all a matter of how much time you put into it that gets you the kyber bricks that you need for these skills, which make a not difficult game so much easier for no reason. There's no need for the health, damage, and speed boost because there's nothing in the game challenging enough to warrant them. And yeah, you could toggle them off, but these skill trees were a huge selling point in the advertising for this game. It's totally fine to make an easy game. Every LEGO game can be played by anyone, and I love LEGO games more than the doctor recommended amount. But dying is crucial to the LEGO game formula. The lack of a substantial penalty when dying in a LEGO game makes it as accessible as it is. So I don't really understand why there's so many things in the skill tree to reduce your death count to near 0. It's not necessary, and I feel like it is necessary for players to have to deal with what little challenge there is in playing as a mortal but instantly revivable character for the game to feel like a game. With death on the table, the enemy encounters actually give you a reason to engage with the game and work to get better at playing it. Which wouldn't take much because it's a fucking LEGO game! Collectibles! Here are all the collectibles you can get in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. 384 playable characters, 119 ships, 225 mini-kits, 1,116 kyber bricks. I'm the kind of guy whose very last thing they do in a game is the final boss fight, who talks to an NPC who tells me to go find a certain object, but I already have it on hand, who 100% completed LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Yes, I did everything there is to do in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Every side quest, every puzzle, every mini game, everything. And I gotta say, I don't think I want to touch this game ever again. It killed me. In the missions, I was thinking, wow, there's absolutely nothing going on. But in the open world, there's a lot of a very few different things going on. A lot of these are exactly like the missions in between levels where someone tells you to go somewhere and do a thing, so you follow the checkpoint marker and do the thing and come back to the person so they can give you a kyber brick character or ship. The thing you do is either escort and protect a person, go kill something, go find something, or go capture an animal. It gets so boring so quickly. And there are 140 fucking side quests. They literally all feel exactly the same, with the exception of the special open world boss fights like the Crate Dragon. No, not Crate Dragon. Crate Dragon. There's two different crates in Star Wars. You would think that having specific bounty hunter and smuggler side quests would be fun, like, cool, I'm being a bounty hunter. Cool, I'm transporting illegal goods. But they just boil down to feeling like everything else you do. A lot of the smuggler side quests make you fight through waves of enemy ships to protect your cargo on your way to the drop-off. And this would be fine and dandy if it didn't blast a warning during light speed, fade into a wave of enemies, return to light speed, and do it all over again every single wave. For all of these missions, I already have to talk to someone on the planet, then go to another planet or multiple other planets to get what they want, then return to the first planet to give it to the mission giver. So these waves I have to fight are just bringing me more loading screens I have to deal with before I can accomplish one out of, again, 140 fucking side quests. Besides the side quests, there are puzzles scattered around that you have to solve to get more collectibles. They're not hard. I wouldn't even call them puzzles. I don't feel like I'm playing a game when I do these things. I'm on full autopilot, even so it gives me such a headache to do them. The open world is beautiful. Best open world in a LEGO game in terms of looks and size by far. The effort put into including all these planets and all these locations on them and making them look like that in a LEGO game is not lost on me. But it's just not fun. There's so little to do and see outside of collecting the collectibles and appreciating the scenery. Every space is dead. I would much rather run around in LEGO Batman 2's blurry-ass, low-res Gotham City than these phenomenally well-detailed Star Wars sets because there's so much to play with in Gotham. Go to the zoo, fight bad guys in the street, drive or fly around, climb Wayne Tower and glide off of it, ride the roller coasters at Joker's Funland, run around the Batcave, make custom characters, encounter bosses scattered around the city that you can only stop by fighting and buying them as a playable character. Whereas in the Skywalker Saga, I honestly don't know what I would be doing as a 10-year-old after I beat it. Let's talk about the collectibles themselves. Okay, kyber bricks. They're just like gold bricks, but you use them as a currency for the skills and the extras. I don't really have anything too special to say about them, because there's 1,116 of them. Okay, characters. Here's something I learned about LEGO games over the years. If there's a ridiculous amount of characters to play as, the game's probably not as fun to play. We have 384 playable characters in the Skywalker Saga. I'm a pretty moderate Star Wars fan and a gigantic LEGO Star Wars fan, so I know a decent chunk about the franchise. But Jesus Christ, it's like they're wanting to never make a LEGO Star Wars game ever again. They don't want to risk players demanding the release of a LEGO Tamiri Blag. Who gives a shit? 78 of these characters are literally put into the they can't do anything category. Some of them are fun, like I love that I get to play as Salacious B. Crumb. But did they really need to add every single character that has a second of screen time in the movie? This is less stupid when it comes to the ships because it's just an aesthetic choice which one you choose to fly. You're not expecting much variation in how they perform because it's a LEGO game. But because it's a LEGO game, you expect the characters to be diverse in how they play because the previous games have offered that as a staple of the formula. I was still learning about unique abilities that certain characters had in the complete saga when I was 17. I didn't know the bounty hunter droids were basically Swiss Army knives, able to access every droid-related and bounty hunter terminal. I didn't know the Magna Guard jumped super high. Even super-duper tiny things like the different slam attacks and lightsaber-wielding characters made me appreciate the game so much more. There is some variation in characters for the Skywalker Saga, but it limits all of them so much by forcing them into the 10 character classes. You only ever really get 10 different character experiences outside of what they look like. One character in a class plays exactly like another character in that class. And it doesn't really work because why would it feel the same to play as Yoda as it does Luke Skywalker? One literally wears the other as a backpack. Again, I understand why they did the character classes. There's 380 characters, making all of them unique would be a lot of work, and the classes provide the opportunity to categorize characters easily so players don't just look at a wall of 380 characters to choose from. But even then, it doesn't work. I'm still looking at a giant wall of characters. Another thing you have to do in the Skywalker Saga to obtain 100% completion is the challenges. Most of these are pretty easy and doable if you just pay attention while running around the open world. Save the rebels trapped on Endor, find the wandering Wookiee on every planet, shoot all the golden ships flying around in space, read some plaques. LEGO games have been doing this kind of thing, I believe, since LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2. I think they're alright, I can't be mad at them. Do I complete them without looking some of them up? No. But hey, it's finally a challenging thing to do in LEGO games, and I like scavenger hunts, so yippee for me! I hated finding all 20 porgs. Worst LEGO experience of my life. How am I supposed to know to look beyond where I'm physically able to go? It's practically invisible! I wouldn't say these challenges make up for the issues I have in the game, because again, they're kinda lazy. They're basically just more side quests, this time without a checkpoint telling you exactly where to go. Which is better, but they're not engaging in the sense that you have to put effort in to do them. It's more a matter of how long you're willing to spend checking every floor, wall, and ceiling in Mos Espa for a fucking porg. But Jared, surely it's all gotta be worth it in the end. There's gotta be some satisfaction in doing everything there is to do in the game. I've never felt more alive. Seriously? Nothing? Okay, not nothing, but that something is nothing. No character or ship unlockable, no special little cutscene, not even a LEGO structure to celebrate it. I couldn't even be pissed off at this point. I was genuinely done with the game. I 100%ed it, and in my soul, I was done. I turned it off immediately and tucked it away. The only satisfaction I got was knowing that I never had to touch it again because I already did everything I could do. I had officially YOLO'd LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. But here I am now, talking about it. Great. Is something inside me still unsatisfied? You know what? Yeah. Yes, there is. This game was so disappointing to me, I couldn't enjoy the trailer for the new LEGO Batman. The Skywalker Saga ruined something related to LEGO Batman. Can't you see how serious this is?
I honestly haven't looked all that much into LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, simply because I don't want to spend another goddamn year hyping myself up for a game that might just end up being okay. But here's what I do know. TT Games needs to learn a shit ton from the Skywalker Saga's failures. I genuinely don't know if they are aware of all the things in that game that aren't good because of how it sold phenomenally well when everyone was talking about it in such a positive light. Hi, Simba. Watching people praise this game and say it's so much better than the complete saga made me feel like I was losing my mind, like I wasn't a LEGO video game fan. But I realized over time that there might be another factor into the mix that made these opinions. Personally, from what I saw, it seemed like a lot of people were trapped in the excitement that they built up for this game over the 3 years that it took from announcement to release. So when the Skywalker Saga actually came out, the players had already bet everything on it being an awesome game. All the speculation and all the hype just coagulated and turned their brain into, I love LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, it is the definitive LEGO video game, it is the definitive Star Wars experience. Now, you're allowed to like the game. There are people who genuinely like the game, and, you know, I can see what they like about it. There are just some things about this game that don't hold up well against the standard. So if TT Games hasn't already comprehended that they need to do some things differently than the Skywalker Saga, I'll say it right now. And they will definitely see this video because I am a worldwide internet sensation. Number 1, keep it a LEGO game. This might be the most important thing TT Games has to focus on with Legacy of the Dark Knight. What I saw in the trailer was an Arkham game with LEGO characters. It's completely fine for LEGO games to branch out and try new combat mechanics, add stealth options, and provide scientifically proven, well-designed traversal mechanics. What's not fine is throwing every aspect of the LEGO game formula out the window and trying to hide the fact that the game you're making is a LEGO game. I read some comment or article reacting to the Legacy of the Dark Knight trailer saying that the game had the perfect balance of Arkham games and LEGO games. Frankly, I don't see it. The only Lego things I can see are the characters and the humor. Everybody in these reviews always talking about the Lego humor in this franchise is so freaking cool. You say the whole Lego experience because of the freaking bananas, because they put a milkshake in the thing. But all the gameplay that we're seeing is all from Arkham. Look at this comment. This isn't a Lego Batman game. This is a Batman Arkham game made out of Legos, and I am here for it. Well, I'm not. I will not be happy as a lover of Lego games if what we get is what I'm seeing. It makes me wonder if eventually Lego games are even gonna provide anything of their own into the mix. Number 2. There needs to be more building. I feel like the developers of the Skywalker Saga flat out forgot that they were making a Lego game because, I swear to God, there were like maybe 15 things to build out of Lego. Building is the entire point of Lego, so it should have some weight in a Lego game. I see some building in what little gameplay we can see, but it's not nearly enough. There's still a lot of running around from point A to point B without much more. What happened to the iconic puzzle of, what do I do? Oh, I have to break everything apart and build the solution. Yeah, it's not challenging, but it's fun and a crucial part of the Lego brand. Why else would they get a fucking time-lapse in every commercial for a Lego set? Only you can build the blah 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 blah. Number 3. Make the characters unique, or make them matter. You can see in the gameplay trailer that Legacy of the Dark Knight is going to have a limited roster of character types. You have your Batmans, then your police officers, then some other stuff we don't know about yet. And this is fine. In fact, it's good. As long as these character types feel different to play as. The Skywalker Saga's 10 character classes all pretty much did the same things, but sometimes with a lightsaber and sometimes with their fists. Some could shoot, but you could also throw a lightsaber. The only times you needed to be a different character was when you'd see an icon asking for a specific class. But that's not making them play different, that's just giving them different levels of security clearance. There should be a point in playing as a specific character outside of what they look like. The weapons, the traversal mechanics, the style of everything the character does. You gotta make things matter, man. I'm sure playing as Batman will be a completely different experience than playing as anyone else, but I hope it's not going to end up being you're either getting a Batman experience or you're just like a guy running around on the street in different outfits. Take Lego Lord of the Rings, for example. Yet again. Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas all feel entirely different to play as. Only Legolas has a ranged attack and can jump high and do acrobatics. Only Aragorn can break certain objects and use tracking abilities. Only Gimli can crawl through tunnels and break through cracked stone and be tossed. In order to get through the game, you have to play as each of them. And it's not just because only Aragorn knows the password to the ATM, it's because they are innately different ways of playing. The player isn't lost about these abilities. They are taught who can do what as the game progresses or through experimentation. I want to see that in Legacy of the Dark Knight, because I sure as hell didn't see it in the Skywalker Saga, and the division of Batman characters gave me genuine fake PTSD. Trust that the player understands the differences between the playable characters, so you don't have to limit them to a few presets. Number 4. Don't rely on the open world to save the game. Don't place important story missions or story-based encounters in the open world without room for replayability. I don't want to have to think, wow, that fight in the streets with Bane was awesome. Too bad I can never play it again. It's a Lego game. You should be able to play it again. Also, having millions of things to check off in the open world does not overpower the need to have a good campaign. These should be bonus objectives, not the reason to play the game. And if you can, please make them interesting and challenging, and don't just force the player to go to a marker to find a thing and then bring it back. Number 5. Put effort into level design. Make sure to put weight into the design and feel of the actual levels in the story. This trailer shows me mostly iconic Batman movie scenes in Lego form, which makes me scared that the missions are going to be less about what there is to do in the mission and more about replicating the scenes from the movies. Lego Batman's selling point has never been that it is like the movies. No Lego Batman game has made an effort to replicate the movies, and it was still an incredibly lucrative endeavor. People are playing for Batman and for Lego. Understand that. Please. Don't chop the story up into a bunch of tiny little levels that feel like eating a single chip when you play through them. Give us a meal, damn it, or at least a full bag of chips. Take your time with the missions. Even if the game is already long, don't feel like that's an excuse to speed the player through a bunch of quarter-baked scenes so you can include 1,000 of them. And with that, don't fill half the mission time with cutscenes. I don't have any way to elaborate on that, just don't do it. Number 6. Make the UI usable. Please. Please, I'm begging you. Please. While I'm here, I don't want to play another goddamn game where I'm just opening the map every 5 seconds to mark the next thing to go to. That's what I ended up doing in all of the Arkham games, and that seems to be what you're trying to go for. Just find a different way, please. Maybe little lights like in LEGO Batman 2, or something like the Skyrim compass so we don't have to individually mark everything. Number 7. Don't baby the players. Most live-action Batman films are PG-13, which means I had to be at least 8 in order to watch them. So there's no reason to make it impossible for LEGO Batman to die. Legacy of the Dark Knight will have an easier time avoiding the skill tree issues that the Skywalker Saga had because it's probably a linear story involving a consistent main character. It makes sense for Batman to get better and stronger over time. However, even after purchasing all the upgrades in Arkham City, I would die all the time. From overwhelming fights where I wasn't trying too hard, from Riddler challenges I hadn't figured out yet, from being shot at and not being able to get away fast enough. Legacy of the Dark Knight needs to keep Batman mortal, because that's a lot of Batman's appeal over characters like Superman and Wonder Woman and all the literal deities that DC just threw into their canon. Batman enters situations where he can die. So yes, there can and should be a skill tree for Batman, but it shouldn't get to the point where you barely have to engage with the game in order to get through obstacles. Number 8. Make the game fun, not just cool. A lot of the things the Skywalker Saga had going for it, like including all 9 movies, having 380 playable characters, being able to visit all these iconic locations from the movies, were just cool. They weren't fun. I didn't feel anything as a player when going through the game because it wasn't really designed as a game, but more as an explorable virtual set for Star Wars fans. So I don't care how much Batman stuff you put into Legacy of the Dark Knight, how many nods to the movies, how good the graphics are, how good Gotham looks, how it looks when fighting or exploring, if you don't have anything to feel along with any of it. There should be something there for people who don't give a shit about Batman to enjoy. Streets that are lived in and living. Enemies to fight who have more qualities than being a Batman villain. For the millionth time, this is a LEGO game as well as a Batman game. It should be accessible to everyone, not just Batman fans. Well, I talked a lot just now. Sorry about that. It just really bothers me that there's so little criticism of the new LEGO Batman as if it's going to be the perfect game. It won't be. I'm sure of it. Just a couple years ago, we all thought that LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga was going to be the LEGO Star Wars video game and even the Star Wars video game. And it really wasn't. I feel like fans of LEGO games are starting to put themselves through hell all over again by hyping up Legacy of the Dark Knight beyond what's reasonable. There's also the people who don't really seem to mind how much influence the Arkham games have on it. Like, all they really want is another Arkham game, and it happens to be in LEGO. But I don't want LEGO games to just be LEGO versions of other games. I don't want the new formula to just be TT games building off of a successful game's mechanics. What I really want them to do is build from the ground up, or just use whatever assets and mechanics they've personally made. I don't want the LEGO-ness to be forgotten about in service of a cooler game. And at the same time, I don't want LEGO games to be the same as they've always been. It's been a long time since we got 2 back-to-back LEGO titles that didn't scar me a little. My hope is this. TT Games learned from the disappointing parts of the Skywalker Saga and has been approaching Legacy of the Dark Knight knowing what game they are capable of not just producing, but making into a fun experience. I hope that all the cool things we see in these trailers are fully realized and engaging mechanics rather than simply being TT Games achieving the look of what they were going for without any of the substance. I want LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight to be as amazing as it can be. Hell, I just want a new LEGO game so I can move on from the shit I endured with the newest Star Wars one. And meanwhile, above all else, I hope people keep their expectations reasonable. I don't want there to be another me up there.
Yeah, that would suck.